ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਜੀ ਆਇਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਤੇ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀਓ, ਕੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕੋਈ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਨੁਮਾਇੰਦਗੀ ਆਲਮੀ, ਮੁਲਕੀ, ਸੂਬਾਈ, ਡਿਵੀਜ਼ਨ ਜਾਂ ਜ਼ਿਲ੍ਹੀ ਸਤ੍ਹਾ ਤੇ ਹੈ? ਇਸ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਤੇ ਗੌਰ ਕਰੋ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਚੱਲੇਗਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਪੇਗੈਂਡਾ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਕੌਮਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੱਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਤਹਫ਼ੁਜ਼ ਤੇ ਮੁਖਾਲਫ ਕੌਮ ਨੂੰ ਬਦਨਾਮ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਕਲੀਤਾਂ ਅਕਸਰੀਅਤ ਨੂੰ ਲੜਾ ਕੇ ਇਕਤਦਾਰ ਤੇ ਸਰਦਾਰੀ ਪੱਕੀ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਲਗਾਰੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਕੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਬੰਦੇ ਵਾਂਗ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ, ਉਲਟਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਡੀ ਹੁਸ਼ਿਆਰੀ ਨਾਲ ਉਰਦੂ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜਿਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ, ਜਦ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਹਕੀਕਤ ਪੂਰੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਜਾਣਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਰਦੂ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਖਿੱਤੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦਾ ਬੇੜਾ ਗਰਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਪੇਗੈਂਡਾ ਵੇਖੋ, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਹੁਸ਼ਿਆਰੀ ਨਾਲ ਮਜ਼ਲੂਮ ਦੀ ਬਜਾਏ ਜ਼ਾਲਮ ਤੌਰ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀਓ, ਆਪਣਾ ਕੌਮੀ ਸਿਆਸੀ ਸ਼ਊਰ ਵਧਾਓ, ਤਾਰੀਖ ਤੇ ਕਰੰਟ ਅਫੇਅਰ ਤੇ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਰੱਖੋ। ਦੁਨੀਆ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਗੇ ਵੱਧ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ ਹੋ। ਕਮਜ਼ੋਰੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸ਼ਨਾਖਤ ਗੁੰਮ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਖਿੱਤੇ ਚੋਂ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਗਾਇਬ ਕਰ ਦੇਗੀ। ਤੇ ਰੱਬ ਰਾਖਾ ਫੀ ਇਮਾਨੁੱਲਾ। ਮਿਲਨੇ ਅਗਲੀ ਵੀਡੀਓ 'ਚ। ਆਪਣਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜੇ ਤੇ ਚੈਨਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰਨਾ ਨਾ ਭੁੱਲਿਆ ਜੇ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਗ੍ਰੈਜੂਏਟ ਫਰੋਮ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ PG of International।
Mr. Lagari, if you would, please.
Chairman Yoho, Ranking Member Chairman, and members of the committee, let me thank you all for inviting me to this important hearing on US-Pakistan relations. My focus mainly on Sindh province. Mr. Chairman, Pakistan is topic of much media discussions, but there is little media and political discussions about the Sindhis, who comprises about 14% Pakistan's population of just over 205 million people. Mr. Chairman, Sindhi people believed that becoming part of Pakistan would bring an end to religious wars and the prevalence of justice and rights. But hostility and tensions in the region have never ended. The United States can play a very important role in this region, particularly to bring about the eradication of terrorism and restoration of human rights. Mr. Chairman, Pakistan is a de facto military and state run by its army, Islamic jihadi outfits, and protected and promoted by the army as assets and as an important Pakistani foreign and defense policy tools. Militant Islam is the most powerful weapon of the Pakistani army. Islamic religious organizations have been and will always be their assets. They not only use these religious organizations against India, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan, but also against the United States and Israel. Mr. Chairman, Sindh can be contrasted with Pakistan's military-dominated state. Jihad, Islam, and the army have always been features of the Pakistani state. Sindh's identity has always been peace, tolerance, coexistence, culture, and democracy. Sindh has always been at the forefront of pro-democracy struggles against military dictators in Pakistan. Sindh played leading role in the 1983 movement for the restoration of democracy. Mr. Chairman, Pakistan's official language, Urdu, is the mother tongue of the Indian Muslim migrants, currently only 8% of the total population. The state of Pakistan imposed Urdu as a tool of cultural repression upon the rest of the populations, Sindhis, Baloch, Pashtuns, Punjabis, Saraikis, and other native languages. This was of the reasons for the separation of Bangladesh in 1971. Injustice done to the indigenous languages has eroded the cultural identity of Sindh, replaced by the violence and extremism. The state has catered the interest of Punjabis and Muhajirs. Punjab has always been superior. Muhajirs have always been privileged. Meanwhile, Pashtuns, Sindhis, and Baloch have always suffered. Mr. Chairman, as long as you don't understand these ground realities, you will not be able to align American interest and relation with those of Pakistan. Hundreds of Sindhis nationalists are missing in Sindh, and thousands of Baloch nationalists are missing in Balochistan. Their enforced disappearances is part of the so-called strategic depth policy of Pakistan's army and ISI, because these activists are against the multi-billion-dollar CPEC. Young Sindhi Hindu women are being forcefully converted to Islam and made sex slaves of Islamic extremists in Sindh. Mr. Chairman, it is high time that the United States reconsider the nature of their relationships with Pakistan, their military, and the ISI. The US should also better its relationship with the pluralistic people of Sindh. I have many recommendations which is already in my full committee, but I want to, one recommendation which is, want to read it here. The Pakistani military and ISI should be held accountable for fraud and abuse of US resources, equipment, and money, which they use to hunt down to anti-jihadi Sindhi and Baloch dissidents instead of going against the jihadi and terrorist groups, including the Hafiz Saeed and Haqqani network. Thank you so much.